Hello all, April 28th, 2012. Here it is, a beautiful sunny day, Saturday. I'm just up doing some hiking. And what I want to talk to you about today is newspeak, spreading falsehoods, where what is, and then they take that and turn it into what is, isn't. And then they teach what is, isn't, instead of what is. So my thoughts is let's try and teach a little bit what is. Let's take global climate change, for example. People don't understand how fragile this poor planet is. I mean, really, it's so fragile. If anybody has any doubts, let's talk about how much breathable oxygen there is above our heads if we're at sea level. There's about 2 miles. That gives you 10,000 feet. So if you want to live above 10,000 feet, that gets kind of difficult for everything. Cooking, sleeping, getting enough oxygen into your blood. You need bigger lungs. So basically, the atmosphere is about 2 miles thick above your head. Well, how far is 2 miles? Can you see 2 miles if you look out? Yeah, you can see it. You'd be real surprised at how thin 2 miles really is. The Golden Gate Bridge, 2.2 miles long, so it's basically 2 miles long. That is how much oxygen is above your head. This fly is really giving me some problems here. So anyway, one way of looking at our oxygen, you know, what we're breathing. And look at how much stuff. When you look out there, look at how much pollution we're putting in there. This tiny, thin ribbon of air. So what does our oxygen look like? Let's go to the board. Okay, this represents the Earth, and this is our atmosphere. And if you go with the letters, you can see it's troposphere, you know, and so on and so forth. It's not this part of the atmosphere I'm worried about, because that part is so thin that we can't even breathe up there. This is the ozone layer, the red. What we're talking about, 10,000 feet, is just this little tiny blue line. That's the air that we breathe. And that's why it's so important, because it's so thin. It's just the distance of the Golden Gate Bridge. That's it. If you put the bridge upright, you know, it would be from here to there. And that's it. And that's all that breathable air. You can breathe up to like 14,000 feet, which is a little bit further, but all in all, that's it. That's why it's so important to be so careful of our oxygen, our atmosphere, because from here on up, this is so thin. If you were up in here, you would boil your blood away trying to breathe. There just isn't enough molecules of oxygen to get into your lungs up in here. And what am I talking about, these molecules? You know, what exactly is this made of? You know, you have your different layers, you know, of atmosphere, which just means it's a thinner layer, a less dense layer than the one below it. So they gave them names. But let's go find out what makes up our atmosphere. Well, that's what the layers look like. Now, what is it made of? What is our atmosphere made of? Nitrogen, 78.09% is nitrogen. Oxygen, 20.95%. Argon, 0.93%. And then carbon dioxide is 0.039%. Way down there. Now it's going to get a little more complicated. Let's say we talk about parts per million. We're talking about carbon dioxide. Alright, so carbon dioxide is measured in parts per million. So for every part, which is this circle, there's 1,000,000 parts of carbon dioxide. Okay, so there it is. So what the denialists don't understand is that we measure gas in parts per million. So when scientists say we're increasing the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, it means we're adding more parts in this atmosphere. That changes the chemistry of it. See, the more carbon dioxide you put in, right, it just keeps getting fuller and fuller. You're literally changing what you're breathing. Let me show you one more thing. Okay, this is what nitrogen is 780 parts per million. Oxygen 209, argon 9, carbon dioxide or 394 point blah, blah, blah. Neon, which is the next gas, is 18 parts per million. So you can see now when you get into carbon dioxide and methane, which is down here, and water vapor, all those are called greenhouse gases and cause the heat to stay inside the atmosphere instead of reflecting off and going back into space. So the higher the number for carbon dioxide and the other greenhouse gases, the higher our temperatures will get. And we've never been to 394 parts per million since humans have been on the planet. So this ought to be interesting in the next 10 to 15 years, how hot and how unstable the planet will get, the planet's weather will get, because of this number going up. This number here, the 209, that one's going down a little bit. Every time we light a fire, we take oxygen out of the air and it changes it into other chemicals depending on what you're burning. So this gas is so important for us, the oxygen, that we shouldn't even think of burning anything really, but we are. So we're changing oxygen, carbon dioxide, methane, water vapor, which water vapor goes up and down. It can be anywhere up to 1% of the gas makeup. But all in all, it's pretty low compared to nitrogen, oxygen, and argon, which are the main things that we're breathing. Now, let's put this all together. Through ice cores, they can go back in history and see what the parts per million in carbon dioxide was in the past. 3 million years ago, it was about 300. Right now, it's at 394.45 parts per million. Back in 1700, it was 217 parts per million. We're way past anything that we've been at before. So we're quickly changing the atmosphere that we breathe. There is variability. It does change from 300 to 200 back up. So it does change, and it changes throughout the planet. It is not completely the same everywhere you go. It varies from place to place depending on winds and rain and how clean the air is and that sort of thing. But we're quickly going past our safety limits of 350. They say that 350 is the safety limits for our planet, and we're at 394.45. I'm concerned, and that's why I'm making this video. Here's the science, and that's why I say what is, and this is what is. Okay, so that's why some of us are so concerned about the denialists doing their denial thing and causing the rest of us, trouble for the rest of our lives, because we've changed the chemical makeup of the of the air that we breathe. So that's why I'm putting this video out. So I just think that we need to look at the damage that each one of us does to this really delicate atmosphere. Maybe think twice about riding the bike instead of taking the car. The packaging that you buy in the food store, all that causes pollution in the atmosphere and the way it's manufactured, whereas fruits and vegetables don't really take much packaging, so they're not really polluting as much. You just pick through the best of the worst. I know fruits and vegetables have their negative too, because of all the farm equipment used to bring those to market, to bring them to the store or the co-op. If we wait for the government, it'll be so bad. We won't even be able to breathe anymore because the mixture's wrong. And who wants the mixture of our breathing wrong? Isn't that worth doing the bicycling and the walking instead of the car? Living closer to where you live to work? Maybe even start your own job working at home. How much more friendly can you get than that? Until next time.